I think the timing for me to get senior colleagues like you, Shekhar, and Rajiv, to have a conversation was, of course, the IPL begins tonight and half the nation is going to go crazy over it and stay glued to their TV. And the other half is going to be wondering why the first half is doing that. And also, I think well-timed commercially was this latest Netflix documentary, Caught Out, on, although, there's multiple mixed reviews on that and opinions, including the cinematic part of it, the presentation of it, or who they spoke to, and who they didn't, more importantly. But as I was telling Rajiv the other day, that it was also one of the first moments where in journalism, I was a crime reporter then, Rajiv was political, he was sports, this confluence of three beats, us three kinds were in the same room. And at least for journalists of our generation, it was probably the first time that such a thing was happening, these so-called spy cams, such big names being seen openly confessing to being lured for corruption. So maybe we can start there. What were your memories of that press conference? All of us have quite vivid recollections of it. So maybe Shekhar, you could tell us. Yeah, you could tell us a bit about when Manoj Prabhakar said it was Paji. So mujhe to 2 minutes laga which Paji, but everybody else got it, and that silence in the room, I was quite shocked.
But nobody knew that why he was crying, that day. Because Paji took that 25 lakhs which was paid for Prabhakar. So that never came out.
Exactly. So,
all bloody crooks.
Abhi take it, it seems like it was scripted. Even the press conference. So now as we are slightly older and slightly wiser, when you look back, you get it. But when you're in the moment as a reporter, it was quite a shocker. And those little gizmos, spy cams and button cams. And so that was quite interesting. So what are your recollections from? Let's start with that conference itself.
Yeah.
So Shekhar, you can go first and then Rajiv.
Achha, we are starting. We have started.
Yeah.
Okay. First time I remember that 99, 2000, I was in Asian Age and I was just a budding reporter, and obviously I was not allowed to cover the mainstream cricket. Though I always wanted that, because being a player and coach, I wanted to be there in the cricket field. But yes, as a cub reporter, yes, I was kept away from all these things, and my bosses or the senior people were covering that. But that, for me, being a player also who has played first class, I knew what was going around. I knew I had heard about, a couple of instances where players were talking about, this little bit of batting or what was going around there in the Team India. But nevertheless, it was a revelation, and especially the way during that time, as you were talking about that series also and the web series, the Caught Out. During that time, those spy cameras and all those things they used to unearth all those what was happening. But later on, maybe a couple of years, after that, when I joined Times of India and I started actually looking into this entire match fixing thing, I came across a lot of bookies. I got friendly with 2 or 3 bookies, based in India, and especially one in Delhi. And the kind of stuff they used to tell, because obviously they were also a part of this, and they were not the kingpins. Kingpin was somewhere else in Dubai, or sitting somewhere in Mumbai, or.
But they were the sources that journalists were.
They were the sources they knew, and during one of the matches, one of my source, that bookie, he lost his entire earning of lifetime. He had to sell his house, 2 houses, one in Defense Colony, one elsewhere also, and then entire earning, because a match.
So that means crores even then.
Crores even then, more than crores. Because I remember, that time I went to his office once, somewhere in Delhi, Luton zone. And paisa jo kehte na, boriyo mein pada hua tha. So first time I actually saw that kind of
seen money like that.
So because he started liking me. And somewhere he thought that I'm a very innocent chap, and
It's a trust factor
yeah,
at the
it's a
source,
trust
even a
factor.
journalist.
So he told me that story, that how one game went complete berserk, and one of our
He took
captains,
names?
he took names, a lot of names. I'm going to write one book, hopefully, before I leave this world. But yes, he told me a lot of names, which were confirmed later on by one of the cricketers who was also banned by BCCI. Yeah, I'm quite friendly with a lot of people. So when how they lost out and how one bet go completely, they could not actually, did what our captain or some of the
But
players
these
who were
bets were
involved.
being lost because of fixing. Is that what he was
A lot of
hinting
things
at?
was happening. There was fixing, there was spot fixing. Even, spot fixing now is more prevalent because now T20 cricket, and especially we'll also talk about the IPL, starting
Of
today.
course.
How a new rule has been introduced from now. So that is again something else. So during that time, it was more of results, one, and also of performances. Whether a player is on 40, whether he's going to make 50 or not, whether he's going to out before that, and that kind of thing. And also, every time, people confuse that fixing is something, or the betting is something that is done on the match results or something. No, it is on the swings. The more swing you can bring in a match, the more time you force a punter, like, who is putting his money to change his bets in between.
Which means it's fluctuations.
Fluctuation, the swing. Yes. Every time, if say India-Pakistan game is there and I have put my money on India, say, 100 rupees. And if I change my bet in between, so 10% goes straight to bookies. So my bet now remains at 90. So if there are 4 or 5 swings in a game, so literally I'll be betting at 50 rupees. 50 has already gone to the, bookies. So
and
that
people don't
bookies, people don't realize that how a fixing is being done. And that's where a players, whether you lose 2 quick wickets or you score 20, 30 runs in a game, in a over, obviously that brings a lot of change, and also that swing or the fluctuation you were saying in a game.
So like a player can change it mid-game.
Every player, if you are a good player, if you are a world-class player, and that's how you are being paid. If a French player is being paid, say the bets overall, one IPL game attracts anything between 7,000 crores to 20,000 crores in a day. In a day, that is that kind of stakes. So out of that, if you are paying to players or whatever syndicate, some 20, 30 crores, that means nothing, only a fraction. So the big
and
players,
that is on autopilot.
Autopilot, it's all, it's a very strange thing, how to say all these things. But the point is, you have to understand that the more talented you are going to get more money. The French players get very less money, and there is one ringmaster who is always there. It could be your coach, it could be your some manager, or it could be even like a person like me covering a match, and I'll be dictating that terms from the stands. I have to tell them what there are 3-4
you're doing signals,
like lot of signals, baseball signals, anything. Aapne cap pehni hai, pen rakha, anything. You drop it, and that is a signal. You have to go out or whatever. These are the kind of things. During the Supreme Court inquiry, if you remember, when IPS officer B.B. Mishra was dealing with all these questions, he prepared approximately 5,000 page report, and 5, that was submitted to approximately, that's what he told me, or his guys. So out of those 5,000 pages approximately, that report was submitted to Supreme Court. And if that report somebody could pull it out, or the Supreme Court, I tell you, these cricket heroes will be nowhere. This cricket will be, completely condemned.
Shekhar, I'd like to ask you a couple of things. I have never been interested in cricket as a sport, but yes, the politics around it. And
you
know very well, whenever I've been talking about
man.
cricket, I either look to people like you or Pradeep Magazine for that matter, whenever I have to understand something. Well, when this scandal broke out about this match fixing, I had interviewed some of the cricketers at the time. And one interview that I can remember, again, I'd done that for Asian Age, was interviewing Pataudi. Oh. And he was pretty horrified at what was going on. And one thing that he said still sticks to my mind. He had said that cricket is no longer a gentleman's game.
So that line became epic.
Yeah, and he had said some, we're talking 20 years down the line. But what I'd like to know is, we've moved on from there. In fact, if we talk in terms of cricket and corruption and the politics involved, and let's take that to be the first milestone. Can you just tell me where we have reached as of now and where we are heading in terms of politics, corruption in cricket?
Where we have reached, you can only imagine. Merely by imagining what kind of people were running the game during that time, from Jagmohan Dalmia, I.S. Bindra, Muthaiya, and then later on came Sharad Pawar, all these politicians. And after that, from now is Amit Shah's son, Jai Shah. So you can see the chronology, because chronology is something that we often talk about. It was a very, very amateurish way to handle things, during that time, till 2000, I would say. There was less money. There was, obviously, that's why there was a lot of craze for, foreign cars or ghadiyan, or all these things which were,
prized,
people say, Azhar was lured for. And, But now it is more of an organized syndicate. It is no more amateurish. It is, the BCCI is a 50,000 crore company, and the company CEO is son of your home minister. You have to understand this. And previously, till 2 years back, till the time he took over, there used to be a lot of leaks from the BCCI, a lot of stories used to come out, a lot of people used to say a lot of things. Players were available to talk to you. There was access, for media people to go there and talk to players. But right now it's a complete WWF kind of cricket. You cannot talk to a player. You have to take permission from the BCCI, which is impossible. Okay, apart from those sponsored same kind of interviews which are politicians,
the glamorous interviews
give. That kind of interviews. So जहाँ आप उनको क्रिकेट की जगह आम के बारे में पूछेंगे कि आम खाते हैं नहीं खाते, that kind of interviews. So now it is a more organized syndicate. People have taken complete control over BCCI, and being the richest board in the world, nobody can actually talk about anything. Whether we
so what we once called corruption is now just called the system.
It's a system. It's a system. And also, you have to also understand one thing. 2 years back, when we were playing IPL in Dubai, I happened to be there. I went there for a couple of, just to see the things, how, after so many years, Sharjah was still, was brought back into the limelight. Yes. So the entire Dubai was full of bookies. In all the nightclubs, everywhere, hotel, restaurant, you go, you can see those familiar faces.
Mostly from India?
From India,
yeah,
mostly
Pakistan.
From India. No, Pakistanis you hardly know, but from India, I used to see them in the stadiums or around people who were organizing a lot of things, apart from cricketing activities also. They were there, paise ko uda rahe hain, raat ko dances chal rahe, that kind of thing. So it was a boom time again. That system of corruption, वो फिर से वो booming time पे था because of one decision to take cricket during the COVID times too. So and who did it? And who did it? Not anybody else or Dalmia or ye wo. This was Jai Shah, directly under Jai Shah.
Another thing, Shikhar, sorry to interrupt you in between. Like you were saying that us time things were very amateurish. I remember having filed a story about Kapil being given a BMW by a restaurant owner in Johannesburg. I think it was Hamid Qasim. I still remember that story. And later, I happened to be interacting with the cops who were then with the CBI and who had interrogated, or let's say questioned, people like Azharuddin and others, and whatever. And they had quite a lot to share, of course, off the record. But as you say now, the whole thing being, corruption being the system. In between, I'm more interested in, where do you place this whole corporatization in context of, these corporate endorsements, advertisements, and as you said, the permissions to talk to the cricketers or anybody else. Where does all this fit in? Where does all fit in terms of money, in terms of, economy of the whole thing?
If you remember 2007, especially I was in Australia covering that India-Australia series. During that time when IPL was to begin, and there was lot of talks about how they will go about it, what kind of auctions will be there, how much money every player will attract. During that time, every player, they were getting retired. Their wicketkeeper, and Matthew Hayden, all these players were getting retired because they were preparing for IPL. They had the hint. They had the hint that, they are going to, obviously being the Gilchrist and all these players, because being the best players in the world and obviously available for the entire IPL, most of other players were, English players and other players, they were busy in international cricket. But being a retired player and just retired, they attracted the most of the money. So they knew during talks with us, during interactions with us, they used to say, this is going to kill cricket. We never believed. We knew that it is going to harm cricket in terms of, the style, the technique, or everything, the quality of the game. But we never thought that this is going to entirely corrupt the system. Because what happened? Then second thing you have to understand, Mr. Lalit Modi, being a fugitive, when he presented his ideas of, organizing first IPL, everybody rejected him, if you remember. There were stories, we did a lot of stories. Even Mr. Sharad Pawar, who was the BCCI president, they never allowed it. They thought that this, because before that, if you remember, Zee TV owners were conducting ICL. So there were a lot of talks about match fixing and openly match fixing. Every ball used to be fixed, during that ICL, because a lot of retired players from Pakistan and all this, Lahore Badshah, they came in. And everybody was scared that this kind of situation will also come into the, international cricket. So they all rejected this idea. But somehow, I don't know how he manipulated. We know a lot of inside stuff, which probably can't be, discussed here on the platform. But we also know how he manipulated everything. And when he actually conceptualized this IPL, and when the first presentation was made in a 5-star hotel in Mumbai, there were who's who of entire India or the entire world, from the top film stars to top industrialists to, all those people who are also owning the teams. A formula or a concept was sold, that a team is being sold for 100 crores, how you are going to make money. And making money was nothing. But later on in 2013, if you remember, what Mayappan was doing for CSK, discussing teams, and then with Dhoni and, your coach, exactly the same thing was discussed.
What they call horse trading in the political post-election.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, so whatever has happened during this, 10, 15 years is about, that telling your players, if you say anything, in a political party also, you will be, out of your membership, your parliamentary seat or MLA seat. So now players are scared.
Will be exposed. That worries them.
Obviously, the more you interact with media, more you interact with people, more you will discuss these things. Now you have to keep mum. You have to discuss nothing with anybody outside, and you just take money. And taking money is also different. Nobody knows if a player is sold for 18 crores, how much money he's going to get. Whether he's actually going to get 18 crores or less, because that is also to push his market value up.
Market value
I
up.
know a couple of instances where a player, Delhi player, his father came to me and say, Luthra ji, please, लिखिए मेरा बेटा 8 करोड़ में बिका था, मुझे तो 50 लाख रुपए मिला. मैं कहा go and talk to, हाँ, मैं कहा go and talk to जिन्होंने किया. Player is a product जिसकी market value आपने push कर दी. आपने push कर दिया तो his brand value will go up. He'll go get endorsement. He'll get a ticket to Team India. He will be, could be a captain of a state. You know, everything. So he will probably earn 100 crores from other things. But that 8 crores or that 10 crores or 18 crores, whether he's getting or not is something, you know, very difficult to say.
Again, Shekhar, something comes to my mind, you know, from a cricketer, like you were a Ranji player, if I'm not wrong, you know, very passionate about the game and all that, and a sportsman, of course. And then this whole journey of cricket, from mainly being a test cricket to, you know, one-day cricket to T20s, and now this whole money spinning machine. How do you feel as a sportsman about all this? Leave aside the commercial thing, but as a sportsman, how do you feel about it from a chap who was bowling, you know, in the Ranji matches, to someone who's not now talking about the politics and corruption of the game? How has been this journey like? You know,
it's a very sad situation, you know, Rajiv. A 100-year-old game or 108-year-old game that time in 2007 was given on platter to all these private players or industrialists. Now this belongs to you. We take only, you know, peanuts from you, and you go and do all kind of bullshitting there, you know, in the name of cricket. That's what happened. कहते हैं ना, माँ बाप, बच्चा क्या बनता है जो माँ बाप बनाना चाहते हैं. If अगर आप उसको कटोरा थमा दोगे, वो रेड लाइट पे भीख मांगेगा. उसको स्कूल में भेजोगे, वो probably IAS officer बनेगा. So I take it like that. हमारे जो
big money has had its other side also, no? It has still
big money has other side, because big money means that now these players are like demigods. Most of these players who probably to me, I think most of these players, I mean, apart from 2-3 big players who are actually talented, more and more are tits and bits of players, you know, tits and bits players. Brands. Or, you know, who he can bowl, he can bat, you know, these kind of T20 has given you what kind of players? Not the best batters or not the best, you know, bowlers. Bowling is in fact dying art right now, yeah. So, and also, you know, I mean, the game has gone to these private franchise owners who are not bothered about cricket or the quality or the ethics or gentlemanship or anything. They are more bothered. Return of investment. Shah Rukh Khan, for that matter, you know, is a big brand, KKR. They kept crying, hum break even pe nahi aa rahe, we are losing money. And they were buying teams outside in Caribbean League, in somewhere, you know, somewhere other league also, Sri Lankan. They were trying everywhere. If this is a loss-making business, yes, if it is a loss-making business, why are you so interested in buying teams there? So, and also one more thing has happened, that because IPL has become so successful, India's, you know, BCCI has become a bully in world cricket. So we are not contributing to the wellness of cricket. We are contributing in terms of getting more money. अपना डंडा चलाना, यहाँ नहीं, हम यहाँ खेलेंगे. You do this. We should get this kind of wickets. In Australia, we hardly get fast wickets.
Yeah.
Imagine those 70s, 80s when we used to get bounce and everything. Now we go there, we get slow wickets because we don't do play on that. And a message is, subtle message goes there. You have to prepare wickets like this. So everything has happened. But now, what
political patronage, do you think that's a factor to this?
Interesting thing is,
political protection.
I missed one point, that Dubai, when I went to Dubai, that was the time this entire betting syndicate was shifting towards our side. I was told, and now I can say it with authority, that no longer that Dawood Ibrahim controls the betting syndicate. And nobody has that idea also, because he's ill, he's probably in hiding everything. So now that syndicate is somewhere controlled in India from Indian people. And who could control that? Anybody's guess. It's a huge thing.
That's a good thing.
Yes, yes, we get more, patronage. We get more. I mean, there will be no competition. Obviously, only couple of chronological people can handle these kind of, thing. But now, what I told you, initially, you have to discuss how there is a new rule, introduction this year.
Yeah.
That you only have to submit your teams after the toss.
Okay.
What kind of situation will be there? Initially, the betting used to be.
Simplify that.
Sorry.
Would you simplify that new rule as an explainer?
Yeah, exactly. So initially, betting used to be before the toss was who is going to win the toss,
Right.
whether Sachin Tendulkar will play or Sourav Ganguly can play, or Virat Kohli will be there.
Right.
Now there will be betting on what? Because you have opened another window that you'll go for a toss, and Rajiv and I am going for a toss. I win a toss. Now there'll be that window of uncertainty, couple of minutes, where the betting will be whether I'll play A player or a B player. Because if I win a toss and opted to bat, I'll play different teams. I'll be carrying two teams as a captain.
So you won't announce the team beforehand. You won't announce it.
You don't have to exchange that teams. So now I have an option. That not an option. Now it is a rule that I'll only exchange teams after the toss. So I'll be carrying two teams in my pocket. One is if I win the toss, and second one is if I lose the toss. So after in one team, probably Rajiv is there in my team. In other team, maybe the other one is in my team. So there'll be lot of.
Who would be privy to these two sects?
Your captain, team management. What was happening what was happening inside trading, bolte hai na, Rajiv? That Harshad Mehta and all. Inside trading is what Meyyappan was doing. What Dhoni was also part of that.
But now
you don't have to be scared of that. Yes, because that's what the conclusion of Mr. B.B. Mitchell and all, that they were discussing teams, during that time, and they were probably doing betting. Meyyappan was betting hugely on that. And also through Bindu Dara Singh, if you remember that time. So we did a lot of stories. Now it will be no more a secret.
So it's
now
legalized.
every team's Meyyappan, every Bindu Dara Singh in all the sections,
in a legal way.
In a legal way. They have made it legal that you go and bet. Betting, this is illegal in India, which obviously Justice Lodha wanted it to be, legal, which legalized. I also advocate, yes. But, you put your people in South Africa, in Australia, in England, in everywhere where it is legal. You don't have to do anything. You have two teams. Only you 3 people or 2 people can know, that you are going to play this team. You go there, bet heavy, you take the legal money. That's how you make profits. You don't make profit by selling your clothes or anything.
Yeah. No, and pay
it's a
tax
complete tax too, they'll pay there, no? Not in India.
Not in India.
Not in India. And find out how many players have opened. Oh yes. You don't have to pay anything in India. We are losing in terms of taxes also by not making it legal. And also by means we are actually a part of corruption. We are becoming part of corruption. We are helping others to make money. But who are these others? Obviously, not others than
another thing, Shekhar, you being a sports journalist also all these years, apart from cricket, do you think or do you see this phenomena being repeated in some other sport as well?
Every sport, but in a different way. In the sense the stakes are not so high. You watch any boxing bout.
I was going
everything is being fixed. Every single bout is being fixed. You watch I don't want to name, but look at the last
leagues that have started in various sports. You mean to
leagues say leagues are only being started to make money, not for the benefit of players or players get benefited by means of getting more money. you know. But otherwise, everything, I mean, I can only say that by getting more and more money into the sports, you know, and by not organizing it, you know, in a better, in an efficient way, you are encouraging the batters or the punters to come into the game. That's been a problem. Look at FIFA. FIFA had this problem long
back.
Long back. But what they did, they have their people there in all the stock exchanges, not stock exchanges, there's betting exchanges. If there is, you know, one betting syndicate there in England, he'll follow the patron. If one patron is, you know, awkward, he'll come and complain, he'll look at they'll investigate the players. That's how they have checked. I'm not saying that FIFA is not facing this problem. There were a couple of instances last year also, some games of English league or others.
It
You know,
keeps on coming up.
It keeps, but they have a system in place. In cricket, there is absolutely no system. One. Number two, in other leagues, like say badminton, hockey, wrestling, where there is no money, they don't want to put any system in place, because that's where, you know, no punter will come in there. Sorry?
There's nothing to earn, no quick money, no big money.
Absolutely. They want more and more people to come and bet and probably, you know, make money, overnight money. And no system is there in place, and nobody, and even you were talking about Rajiv, that CBI and all these people were investigating. What happened to this investigation? Chandila, Shri Shant. Yeah. You never questioned the captain of that team, Rajasthan Royals. I hope you will not ask me to take the name. He's a big elephant who has entered BCCI, big name. You can't pull him out. You never questioned him. And in cricket, if you know anything, you cannot fix even a single ball. You cannot bet on a single ball without the involvement of a captain. Whether it's Hensy Crone.
The owner is not on the field. The captain is on the field with his team.
Captain, I'm saying. You never questioned the captain. And
why
remember who was the captain.
And again, Shekhar, the kind of, you know, owners we have personalities from Bollywood, we have industrialists, we have the corporate giants. It's a kind of a heady mix. You know, would you agree to that? And how is it working out in terms of the owners?
In the name of owner, Preeti Zinta used to, you know, dance there on the ground and saying that, you know, and actually show off tha ki I am the owner, but he actually had only 1% of stake in the team.
Yeah.
So the entire owners, whosoever these are, you know, they have literally given this team to be run by Preeti Zinta, for that matter. How she became so powerful. There were other, you know, I mean, I'm only saying this because we always take names of Azharuddin or Hensy Crone and all these people, but we forget. For me, now, if I look back and say they were scapegoats.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm pointing at. It's basically...
Yes, all those people who were investigating the cricket, you know, fixing or everything, they all later on became anti-corruption unit chiefs of BCCI or ICC. They post-retirement. If they were earning 2 lakhs a month in a government job, they used to earn 10 lakhs a month there. It was kickbacks.
Right.
Post-retirement, pre-retirement judgments of judges. This is something, you know, cricket is being neglected. We don't talk about these things. We wrote all these things during that, you know, IPL saga in Supreme Court. There are a lot of stories that is part of SC judgment, Supreme Court judgment, you know, my stories. But nobody cares, because cricket for them is like a religion, as we say. When a big name comes in...
It's like opium, I must say.
And
opium being dished out to the masses again from tonight.
Saying, yes, B.B. Mishra used to say, when he was on the verge of cracking a big name, he got a phone call from a top guy who's no more now in the government. So stop the investigation then and there. He asked for 2 days. Sir, give me 48 hours. I'll crack. I have already, you know, cracked this case.
About to reveal names.
No
point.
Yeah.
I wrote couple of stories in DNA during that time. This player is number 1, this player is number 2. I got calls in the morning. हम आपको शो करेंगे for 100 crores. मैंने उनको कसम भी दी. मैंने कहा प्लीज जरूर करना, वरना मेरी तो औकात नहीं है 100 crore. शायद सुप्रीम कोर्ट को लिस्ट निकालनी पड़े. कभी कुछ नहीं हुआ. I openly wrote it. It's there on the net. I've taken at least 2 big names of cricket and couple of administrators openly in headline with a question mark, obviously, to save my.
Corruption is no longer being spoken about as an aberration. Corruption in sports or in politics is seen as the norm, the normal.
It's no normal because people who are controlling these bodies are very, very abnormal. They want to make these look like normal because they can use this money into party fundings or into election fundings, into other things. So you go to any Olympics. I have covered 2 Olympics, couple of Asian Games and all these things. You go there and see all these mantris and santris with their families. They're all over there. One is president of one body, one is president of fencing, one is boxing, one is all these people. They go there like royal, rajas aaye hue hain and field pe ghum rahe with all area passes.
All the lanyards.
Flaunting everything.
Flaunting everything because this money means, Olympic money or this cricket money means nothing but, aapki body, aapke family ke liye free holidays to Europe, to Australia, to everywhere. And also your pocket money. जिससे आप घर का खर्चे और ये सब कुछ खर्चे चलाओगे. You don't have to bother about 20-30 crores. That's peanuts. One big politician who is again no more. In fact, he told me once, Shekhar, मैं वहाँ गया था, first meeting I attended of BCCI. I never knew that we get money in cash. So I was sitting there, मेरे को एक लिफाफा मुझे एक लिफाफा पकड़ा दिया. मैंने खोल करके बाद में देखा तो 33,000 थे. During old days, that time. अब तो लाखों में होते हैं सबके. अब लिफाफे मिलते हैं नहीं. It's a different issue. But that kind of, you go there for one meeting, you become a selector or you become any part of any cricketing body, you get in crores. Because now crores is normal, lakhs is abnormal now.
For them, which is why it still remains a very coveted appointment for politicians or people close to politicians.
I don't blame them for that. We have a system.
They haven't played any sport. They have no investment in sport.
They don't have to play. They don't have to play. Our sports minister played one Ranji Trophy game. How he played, I wrote.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that. So even Supreme Court laughed about that. But the point is, you don't have to play to become, the bosses. You just have to manipulate, and that's how they are manipulating it beautifully. And I would again blame Supreme Court for that. Once you have given 3 orders written by the Chief Justice of today, Mr. Chandrachud, you had 3 judgments written by Chandrachud Sahab, and you change that and allow Jai Shah or Sourav Ganguly to come in again. So Sourav obviously was dropped because he was not getting well pally with Jai Shah. But otherwise, how can you change your own orders? You show me you show me the face, I'll show you the rule. So you have to somewhere blame your own system. I don't know what was the compulsions, but again, we are the ones who have suffered during all these things. We thought we are going to change the system, but unfortunately, we are out of the system. Nobody talks to us. Nobody, if anybody in BCCI comes to know that one particular player or an official is talking to me, he'll be completely, बुरी तरह से उसको ठीक कर दिया. So we are the sufferers, not the other way around. But that's the way it is.
Journalists, like what is happening at the moment, where there is no information.
मैंने कहा ना, हमने पूछा नहीं कि आम कैसे खाओगे, तो we are outcasted. But those who have been still writing about this, आपने कहीं तो आज स्टोरी नहीं पढ़ा होगा. The IPL is starting, and there are rule change which are going to impact. Not in the impact in the sense it is going to help the bookies or the masters to make huge money. Yes.
But the news will be full of the glamour factor of IPL tonight. Who's attending? Who's
you have to promote it.
Absolutely.
You have to promote the event.
किसने डांस किया? ऋतिक रोशन आया, कौन आया, वही सब कुछ, हाँ, and then all these things.
So is sports journalism now becoming gossip journalism?
There is no sports journalism left.
I didn't want to say that.
No, but there is no sports journalism left. I remember during, till 3, 4, 5, till 2016, there was a lot of sports journalism. Post that demonetization, post that, situation, what we can see in our country, the worst sufferer is sports journalism, because all these people came in. They never wanted, us to write about all these dirty things in politics, because they were actually, promoting it, number one. And also, they also knew that if anything comes to them, they might have to, leave this field probably, because the stakes were so high, post demonetization and all these things.
Even interviews, etc., they've all stopped. They used to be so
No
interesting.
way. I did a story, if I don't know whether you have seen that, how Pegasus kind of,
Yeah, I remember.
Thing is there in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So they actually made a presentation in the BCCI meeting that how to tap the phones, spy your players and all these things.
And journalists.
So when players and journalists,
and of course the reporters.
Obviously. So after that story, I was trying to get in touch with one Delhi player, obviously the top India player. So I was trying constantly. He was not picking phone and everything. So one fine evening, I was sitting there in the press club. So suddenly I got a call from some vague number. So मुझे लगा कोई spam होगा. So I took, hello भैया. वो मैंने कहा बॉस कभी फोन उठा लिया करो. We are not outcast. कहता आप कहते हो फोन उठाओ और पहले स्टोरी करते हो Pegasus. So that kind of fear has been instilled into the players, So that's been a problem. That's been a huge problem. Nobody talks to anyone.
It's a very real fear.
Yes.
Because it's happening already, even if they're not coming
absolutely.
out.
People are only talking on FaceTime.
Yeah.
I should not say that. Maybe that could also be tapped, because Mr. Jaisha talks to people on FaceTime. So that is, they feel that is safer.
I think we should wind up now, Shekhar, but surely I would suggest that you name your book In Swing, Out Swing. That would be a very appropriate
There's hardly
name.
any motivation left, Rajiv, but yes.
No, but you must write. You must write.
I have to. I know.
You write it for your own fan club.
I know.
And it's a big one, I tell you. It's a big one, Karuna, I tell you. It's a huge fan club.
It is. We're all members, but I know there's a big one.
It's a big one.
Much needed. I think we put Shekhar on the spot for this, and I hope he puts himself on a deadline.
Yeah.
One top player of old player in 2012 or 13 somewhere, So I was there in some marriage, reception at Taj in Delhi. So I was called in, say, "Aa jana hai thodi der." Main bhi chala gaya. So I met one band player there, and we started discussing all that. He's a very good player. I always say that they are scapegoats, not the real culprits. So he told me it's suddenly that big player, that master came in and he was getting off from his car. So the entire media was after him, sir, kind of. So we were standing, about 50 meters on the other side to the porch side. So he said, "Kata, aap apni peeth kar lo." मैंने कहा क्यों? कहता आपको देख के आएगा नहीं. But let me test. If he sees me, if he, eye to eye contact hoga, he'll leave everything and come to me, because I know if I open my mouth, he'll be destroyed. His entire life will be destroyed. And same thing happened. The moment they had eye contact, he left everything, came, "Oh, bye. And I left that place. Now I can let him talk in peace. So that's anyway.
One of the many anecdotes we hope to read.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. This was so interesting.
Always a pleasure.
Very interesting. Thank you, Shekhar. Thanks a ton.